Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, my name is Mark Richards. Today, I'm going to give a little bit longer speech. It's a non-manual speech. It's one of the requirements to get to a higher level, a different award level in Toastmasters. In my case, I'm working towards my Advanced Communicator Silver. This particular speech was interesting to me because I tend to ramble. An impromptu speech is rambling with a cause, if you will. I'm going to go over some of the important parts of how to accomplish an impromptu speech and make it effective for everyone. And then I'm going to give some examples. I want to read to you something. Back in the 40s, when the computer age was just being started, a very famous man who was one of the founders of a company that developed the ENIAC, which is the very first computer that was fully programmable and stored memory, took up a whole room. You might have heard of that. This was what was said of him. It was dangerous to ask him a question because he could discourse earnestly and passionately about almost anything, from theater to literature to physics. And in parentheses, I added for myself, I added, and he didn't stop. Because that's what they were saying. He could be asked anything. This is his wife giving this quote. And basically, he was so knowledgeable about so many things that he would be able to talk intelligently about them. But the problem was, he didn't understand the basics of impromptu speaking, and he just kept speaking and speaking. And even though he was popular as a professor, he bored people to the point where they would come to his lectures, very excited to see him, and be thrilled with what he had to say, but at the after meeting would want to walk away as quick as possible, because he didn't stop. So, impromptu speaking. Now, impromptu speaking can happen anywhere and any time. And that's important to understand, because if you're good at being able to speak intelligently about a particular subject, even if it's something you don't really know a lot about, then you can, as you've heard, win friends and influence people. It can happen in the workplace. You could be in social situations. In fact, one of the favorite very important impromptu speeches might be what we call an elevator speech. An elevator speech, imagine yourself walking into an elevator. You know that from where you are to where you're going, or where somebody that you're standing next to might get off, you only have 1 to 1.5, maybe 2 minutes at most to speak intelligently about whatever it is that you might want to talk about, or if they ask you a question, be able to respond and have it make sense. So, here is a Toastmasters elevator speech. You want to be in Toastmasters? Well, if you want to be in Toastmasters, let me ask you a question. First of all, are you afraid of speaking? Okay, that's great. Toastmasters will provide you a way to overcome your fear of public speaking. And if you're already a good speaker, Toastmasters will help you become better. If you're an expert speaker, Toastmasters will give you an opportunity to practice your trade and at the same time learn valuable leadership skills, which Toastmasters is known for worldwide. That is the Toastmasters elevator speech. Okay, got you between first floor and the second and the 7th floor, and you've just explained everything they need to know about Toastmasters. Why wouldn't they want to join? You have a Toastmasters application, hand it to them right there. When giving an impromptu talk, there are 5 elements. The first and the most important is the ability to listen. When you listen to somebody that's speaking, whether it's them asking you a question or them just making a comment, you can then take that information into your mind and formulate an answer so that when you speak, you will speak intelligently and you will show them respect because you've obviously shown them that you've listened to what they've said. Furthermore, when you speak, you'll be answering their question or comment and you won't be saying anything. It shows them, pardon me, it shows them that you were not thinking about what you wanted to say next. It shows them that you were paying attention to them. Listening is the #1 skill. Number 2 is to pause. And that means that while you're listening, when they're done, take a second. Wait and find out if they're finished, first of all, because you don't want to run over your words. You don't want to run over their words and finish their sentence. Let them finish. Then, once you're done pausing, you might want to confirm what it is that they've said. There may not be a solid answer. I'll give you an example. I think that carrots are the most nutritious food. Now, if somebody said that, and you happen to be within hearing distance, or they're talking to you, you might pause for a second and say, do you mean nutritious for humans or other animals? That's a confirmation, because they might be speaking about rabbits. That's confirmation. You may not need a confirmation, but it's always there, and it's something you might want to consider. The 4th step is to tell them. That is essentially your speech, your impromptu conversation with them. It usually needs to have an introduction, or a beginning, if you will, then a body with 1, maybe 2 supporting ideas, and then finally finish up with your final thought. And let them know what you really are saying so they can get it down. They understand that you really understood what they just asked you or what they're commenting on. And the last part, which and I didn't mention his name, Dr. Mochley, poor Dr. Mochley did not understand, is to end, to stop. This is something I do not do. My wife complains about it constantly. Mark, okay, I've heard what you had to say now, and she doesn't say the words that you know I'm about to say, but she just says, okay, I've heard enough. So that's what you need to do. You need to end. When you're speaking, there are 4 strategies that you need to consider, and these are all strategies that can work for you. First one is you might want to express an opinion. Somebody might say to you, well, I really think that and this is back in the 1500s, let's say, I really think that the sun goes around the earth, right? Copernicus. If you're in his company, you might say, well, I happen to have made, and this is you giving your opinion about that, because at that time it wasn't known, I don't think it really works that way. But let me tell you what I think. That's an opinion. Now, if you agree with them, then you are confirming, in essence, what you know that they have said to be true. If you disagree, you have the opportunity to tactfully and gracefully explain why your opinion is better. The next one is to take a cause and effect point of view. There are things that people might talk about or ask you about that do have a beginning and then an end, a cause and effect. I believe that the universe was started with the Big Bang. So, okay. And is that why we're here today? Or did God create the Big Bang? There are lots of possibilities. That's a cause and effect. Then there's more direct examples, but that's just one that I just read about. Another one is you could break their conversation, their question down into components. For example, if somebody is saying that we went to the moon and it only took 10 years. Yes, it only took 10 years. But during that 10 years, we had the Gemini, we had the Mercury, we had the Apollo program, and now we had the space shuttle. But we went to the moon with the Apollo mission. So you broke it down to Gemini, Mercury, and then Gemini, and then, I think that's right. Was Mercury first? Anyways, if you don't know, just make it up. And by the way, table topics, you can make it anything you want, so same thing. Now the last one is to discuss past, present, and future. And that might be something about, somebody's asking, well, how did you get to this particular prestigious position here at the college? Well, when I was young, I used to take a special course And I went to this professor, and I loved him so much that he really instilled excitement in me to go about and further my career in electronics. Great. And now I'm a professor. In the future, I hope to win the Nobel Prize, past, present, and future. But however you do this, whatever you do, when you're speaking, be confident, be brief, that's the same thing as and be sincere. And if you do these things, people will want to listen to you in the future, they'll respect you, and they'll know that you respect them. I have chosen to ask a member of the audience here to come up with a topic, which I have no idea what it is. I'm going to attempt to follow my strategies and answer his question. Let's see how I do. David?
You are a secret agent employed by the government of Israel to save the United States from an ISIS terrorist attack. You're being awarded a medal for saving the U.S. from a devastating nuclear device being detonated. As you accept your reward, you briefly explain how your mission succeeded, but unfortunately left you in a wheelchair. Special Agent Mark Richards of Masada Special Forces.
Oh my God.
That was a hell of a speech. Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter of the award. As a young Israeli, I always believed that our freedom was very, very important. When I heard that there were terrorist groups forming, I decided to enlist and to become a secret agent. I was very proud to serve as a secret agent. When the time came that ISIS formed and they decided to get a nuclear bomb into this country and we found out about it, it was all I could do to go over there and disarm the bomb. It was the pinnacle of my career, and I accept this award most graciously. So if you understand the concepts of impromptu speaking, and you understand the strategies and the flow, then you can be successful at impromptu speaking wherever you go. Mr. Tableton.